Good evening, good folk of the rebellion. Welcome to this month's edition of the Recce Report. I am former Army Corporal Cliff Purvis.
And I am former Army Warrant Officer Russ Denny. Thank you for joining us here on our 21st edition of the Recce Report. It amazes me every month that we're still allowed to do this, but we power through.
Yes, we absolutely do. That's, as always, there's never enough to chat about to fill a half hour, he said, very much tongue in cheek. Right now, we are veterans, as says all over our various pages, and then the flag behind me. So I think it's probably a good idea, Russ, to start with the latest scandal to do with the water, and it's got nothing to do with ferries in Scotland, and it's got everything to do with the aircraft carriers.
Oh, mate, we're only interested in ferries in Scotland. You should know this.
Well, those things are technically ferries. They ferry an admiral about the place, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, they're supposed to ferry planes, but they don't have any of them. So yeah, one of the many. But the thing is, mate, there's more admirals than there are ships. So I don't know how we're going to manage that.
Yeah. So for you that aren't aware of the situation, both aircraft carriers that the Royal Navy possess seem to be a bit knackered. The Queen Elizabeth is certainly knackered, and there's very strong rumours saying that the Prince of Wales is also suffering some kind of technical issues as well. BBC reported earlier on today that it had sailed for the NATO exercise happening off the coast of Norway. Quite why it's heading that way and not out to the Gulf of Aden to project the force that it's designed to do, I don't know. Could it be because we can't protect them, Russ?
That would be my guess, mate. But strangely, the media has been rather quiet about these things. It's almost as if they don't want people to know that the forces are badly equipped and poorly manned.
Yeah, it's the Royal Navy is suffering the same amount of recruit problems as what the other services are doing. I think, in fact, they're slightly worse off than most of the other services. So they're having, as a result, they cannot get the aircraft carrier out to the Gulf of Aden to project the force, so they can, blow up people sitting in tents with multi-million-pound rockets. And they're having to fly out of Cyprus using RAF jets. Why then have we got those aircraft carriers? Why was all that money shelled out to build those two things if the first time they're needed, they can't deploy? It's absolutely shocking. Next to Trident, I would hazard a guess in saying that those two aircraft carriers are the biggest drain on the defence budget. Yeah, and it is a shocking state of affairs. If we had any semblance of a free press, if we had any semblance of an opposition party, then they'd be all over this story like a bad rash, and they'd be holding Sunak's feet to the fires on this one. But they don't want to cut into it because hey, they like them as well. They like the fact that Britain has got two aircraft carriers and can't actually deploy them.
It's a testament to the poor planning of successive defence secretaries, the vast majority of which, in fact, all of which over the last 14 years have been Conservative, where the defence budget has been chipped away at and spent on rubbish. And the view is, and we talk about all these kind of things like, the cyber stuff and being all prepared. But the truth is, any future conflict is going to come down to boots on the ground, isn't it? Which necessarily means naval support and air support.
Yeah.
And if we don't have that, you're not going to get the boots on the ground.
Yeah, along with the Royal Fleet Auxiliary that's struggling at the moment as well. They're the civilian element that blister onto the fleet as it sails, set sail, and basically without Royal Fleet Auxiliary, no one gets anything. They carry all the amount of stores that we would need, to do a hard day's fighting. It's scandalous, absolutely scandalous, and rumours abound from various people that I've been in touch with over the last month that boots on the ground is already happening, down in the Yemen. And, hasn't the UK learnt its lesson about the Middle East? Ever since that day where, was it General Audley in 1917 marched into Jerusalem through the Jaffa Gate with T.E. Lawrence beside him. Since that day, we have royally messed up in that region. But there we are yet again trying to interdict in what's going on there. Who the heck, and I'm watching what I'm saying here, who the heck do Downing Street think they are? Are they still wrapped up in the imperial butcher's apron or what?
Maybe that's why they're saber rattling about Russia, mate. They're hankering for the days of the Cold War, when we could go to Germany, but we couldn't even do that now. Slight diversion when they were talking, when it was all over the press about we're going to need conscription army if we ever have a war. I'm like, brilliant, but where are we going to train them? We've sold off all the training estate. Where are we going to house them? We've sold off all the barracks and the Murray quarters. Even if you go at the same rate as national service happened in the 50s and 60s, you're looking at an extra 150,000 troops a year. Right? The current state of the entire armed forces is about 189,000. So you're going to double that and suddenly think, yeah, that'll be fine. Who's going to train them? Who's going to feed them? Sodexo?
They can't even do the job that they're supposed to be doing, and it ties in why they can't retain the people in the service, because the infrastructure is virtually non-existent. They do, whoever's running the single service accommodation, the accompanied service accommodation, the food, they don't care what the end product is because they get their money up front. You're saying, how are you supposed to recruit into that?
And interesting comment there from Gregor. Putin said in his interview with Tucker Carlson that Russia has no interest in invading any NATO state.
Didn't he say that about Ukraine?
Brilliant. Yeah. Now you have to decide whether you trust Putin and or Tucker Carlson.
Yes.
Those renowned purveyors of truth and fact in the Western world. I'm sorry, mate, but he did say, didn't he? He said he had no interest in Ukraine just about a day before he went in. It's the old it's the old military adage, mate. Is don't believe it until you hear the official denial.
Yes. That's it. I mean, of course, Putin's just going to be ennobled with what Trump said the other day about, Putin can invade any NATO country that doesn't pay enough into contribute enough financially to the NATO alliance. Yeah, he's sitting there giving it.
There's a good question from Hashbury. If we could fly in relief to Berlin, and you talk about the Berlin airlifts was that in the 70s?
No, that was the 1940s.
1940s. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. Now, you know me in time. Why can't NATO fly in relief to Gaza? Because 2 words: air defense. Israel's got big buggery rockets that are slightly more advanced than 1940s Russian air defense.
Yeah, it's also the political will. The political will was there. Stalin didn't want to cut off Berlin altogether, or he would have shut down the air corridors. He thought he would starve out West Berlin because all they could get in was going to come in through the air corridors. So there was a political will there by the West I don't know if it was NATO at the time, actually. I can't remember when NATO came
And
into
the
existence.
40s would have been League of Nations. Well, it'd been League of
Yeah.
Nations, wouldn't it? Would be the
UN,
precursor to the UN. I don't know. Was not NATO there? I suppose NATO. The nucleus of NATO was there, wasn't it? You still had probably still the Allies, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes, you would have had the what were they called in Germany? The powers? Can't mind the four powers. It was Russia, Soviet Union, UK, USA, and France.
Yeah.
So governing powers. So there have been three governing powers versus the Soviet Union. The North Atlantic Charter had been formulated, then leading on to NATO. Yeah, so it's simple. It's the same reason why they didn't call for a ceasefire in the House of Commons when they had the opportunity to now. And apparently now everybody in their dug is screaming for Israel to steady its hand or stay its hand and have a ceasefire. They had that months ago. They should have done it months ago. Yeah, I get what happened in October. I really do understand what happened there, and I get the response. But a response has to be measured. Yeah, it has to be measured. It has to be appropriate. And what we've seen is no way measured, and it's nowhere been appropriate response by Israel. And that's not the Israelis. That's not me being anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-Jewish. It is the extreme right-wing government that is now sitting in power in Israel. And that's a very sad state of affairs, considering why Israel was set up in the first place. Yeah,
it's Netanyahu and his warmongering, and yes, that whole thing on October was October the 7th when Hamas committed those atrocities. If I'm going to say something controversial here, right? But if it wasn't for Israel's policy towards the Palestinians, then Hamas wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
And let me caveat that by saying, if it wasn't for the British government's policy in Ireland, then the IRA wouldn't exist.
Yeah, and that's in no way controversial. That's the hard truth, and it's about time people started facing up to what the reality of cause and effect. We do something, and we have, let's face it, Palestine, the Palestinian protectorate. Yeah, that we suddenly, after the Second World War, decided that we could not afford to be there, and turned into the UN at the time and said, right, you have got X amount of days, and we're bugging out. So that's forced that one. You're absolutely right to bring up the Ireland situation, and we can throw in India and Pakistan into that. And you think of those three countries, the carnage that has happened because of very, very poor and ill-advised politics on behalf of Downing Street.
Yeah. Hashbury there kindly telling us that NATO was formed in 1949.
Cool.
So thank you. Every day is a school day.
Yeah, and the Berlin airlift was when? It was definitely the 40s. I'm sure it was the 40s. I don't know.
I see, Hashbury, you let us down, mate. You didn't check that out, did you, Mr. Half a Job, or Mrs. Half a Job? Sorry, I don't want to presume.
Ashbury, don't get too upset, Russ. He was shouting at me pre-show because I kept pushing buttons and it was all going horribly wrong. Apparently, I'm a medic. Said with exactly that tone of vitriol as well. Yeah. Right, where are we? Okay then. Yes. So we have had the absolute debacle of the aircraft carriers. That's going to go on and on and on. And remember, every time they have to get in and get fixed unscheduled, that means we are without the valued deterrent that the weapons platform is supposed to be. And if we can do without, then why did we get it in the first place? You okay with that, buddy?
Yeah,
I'm just looking at the time there.
I think we've done that to death, mate. That's it could have been summed up in 2 words, mate. Procurement, maintenance is shit.
Yeah, the Defence Select Committee has come out, cross-party committee, sorry, has come out with that the UK procurement is woeful, and that's me not swearing. Right, now we've had some people announcing tax returns lately.
Yes, I've seen that. There've been some transparency apparently from our elected elite. Mike, what's been going on there?
I don't know, but the Sunak released his tax paid in the last year.
Yeah, how much money did he make?
It was a couple of £1 million or something like that.
It was. I think it was. I think it was. Yeah, it was definitely in the millions of pounds. How much tax did he pay, mate? But before you answer that, it must be a lot, mate, because obviously if it's millions of pounds, and and the higher tax rate cuts in at like 45,000, doesn't it?
Yes.
Where it goes up to like 40 odd percent, and then over 100 and something, it's more. So he must have paid a wad of tax, mate. How much tax did he pay?
200,000.
And what percentage was that?
23%.
I paid 23% on his millions of pounds.
Yeah, and that's the leader.
I'm in the wrong job, mate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been saying that for ages, Mucker. You need to be in Parliament. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to catch up, mate. Hashbury's put me in my box. Tell me the Berlin Airlift began in 1948. So pre-NATO. Well done.
Cheers, Ashbury.
You have a Veterans for Independence point for you, mate. Well done. Cash it in at your nearest bookshop.
Yes. The value of the point may rise and may fall depending on how much tax Sunak pays. Yes.
Yeah,
so
going back to Sunak, Evelyn's pointing out there that his wife made even more money through her Infosys contacts. So we forget that Rishi's missus is, and try saying that quickly when you've had a few beers. Rishi's missus has quite a few of her own millions stashed away, hasn't she?
Yeah, and it's, I think it's indicative of what's wrong with the system. Not just in the UK, other countries suffer from this as well. But how other countries choose then to deal with that situation is entirely up to them. This is someone that can easily afford to pay the correct amount of tax, and through clever accountancy. It's not criminal what he's done. It's perfectly clear.
It's not done anything illegal.
No, it's not criminal. So what he's done is perfectly legal, and he ends up paying 23% tax. How are we supposed to correctly fund all the public bodies, the National Health Service, the Armed Forces, the social welfare? How are we supposed to fund that when the leader of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland fails to pay the proper amount of tax?
Well, I have playing devil's advocate, mate. He has paid the proper amount of tax because he's not done anything illegal. He's managed to stash it away in stocks and shares and private trusts, and all these other things. The things that us ordinary plebs aren't able to take advantage of.
Yeah.
And I think it was, to paraphrase the great Jimmy Reid, who said way back in the 70s, we have equality. We have the equality as May and Rishi Sunak both have the right to stay in the Grand Suite at the Ritz Savoy in London, but only one of us is going to be able to take up the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the £1,000 odd a night that's going to cost to do that.
Yep.
So he's not doing anything illegal, but he's just using things that are out of reach of us. I say it again, of us plebs.
Yeah, he uses levers that we can't use.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for that English Channel sitting there at 20 odd miles of water, we would have had a revolution by now. Yeah, and that would have been swept away. Because
they tried it. They tried it in England, didn't they? But they couldn't even get that right.
No, they messed that one up.
Yeah.
Did you see the French farmers?
They don't muck about the French,
no,
do they?
They don't. Yeah, you're going to do what? What price is going up? I think you'll find it's not. Well, I'm going to park my tractor here. Yeah,
But you know what you don't get, the difference, right, is the French farmers cause that disruption. What you then don't get is the leader of the French Farmers Union being interviewed by the mainstream media saying, aren't you ashamed that you're holding up hardworking people? Because they're all behind him.
Yeah.
If that was here, it would be like, oh, you're stopping hardworking people getting to work. Like, no, we're just pointing out that the system's shit for us and we need to sort it. Which is unreal, because, the UK, Scotland especially, was the kind of the birthplace of the trade union movement, that collective bargaining. Yeah. When did we become so subservient that we just accept these things now?
Probably start with Thatcher.
Well, when she killed Scargill in the miners' union.
Yeah.
Metaphorically killed. I'm not saying she committed in any acts.
Can you libel the dead? I don't think you can. I think it probably started there.
Yeah, Evelyn's asking if I would spend a couple of £1,000 in a hotel if I could. Evelyn, some stereotypes are there for a reason. I'm still a tight-ass Scotsman. If I had a couple of £1,000 to spend in a hotel room, I wouldn't be spending it on a hotel room. I'd be spending it on, nice things for the family, or maybe a holiday for everyone. Fuck, it's such extravagance, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just, and they don't even pause when getting it booked by their minions.
Yeah.
They don't have to sort of go and look at the credit card statement from last month to see if they can do it. They just know they can.
Yeah.
There's Evelyn mentioning that Thatcher crushed us. Yes, and that was the intent. And then the rise of Murdoch and his empire of the press, and any nation that demonizes junior doctors, any organization that demonizes junior doctors is not worthy to be in the same country as us good, loyal Scots.
Yeah. You're right. It's ridiculous. They look down on these people. Why are teachers and doctors and nurses asking for money? Surely they do it because of a desire to serve. And I'm like, well, if you're going to use that argument, then politicians shouldn't be getting paid half as much as they do. Because surely they should be doing it a desire to live a life of service to the country. Yeah. People need to live.
Yeah, the last excuse I heard about the politician wages was it's the only way of ensuring that you get decent people into the job. Liz Truss.
Yeah. There's a good point from Hashbury there. It said farmers in France tend to be on the left, whereas in UK they tend to be on the right.
Getting back to revolutionary days.
I think that's what it is, because I think in France they are actually farmers.
Yeah.
Whereas in the UK they're landowners.
Yeah.
They own farms, but they're not farmers.
Yeah, exactly.
If you ever seen the Young Farmers, that's just Tory party offshoot, isn't it? But yeah, you're right. It goes back to the revolutionary times where the French got sick of their ruling elite doing exactly what our ruling elite are doing now.
Yes.
Washing that let them eat cake type mentality. Yep. Get on with it. And we're still taking it.
Yeah. It's time for change, folks. It's time for change. Of course, to correct any revolutionary fever, we've had the latest in a series of royal exposés. For a family that never ever gives anything away about their state of health, suddenly we find out that the king early stages cancer, and straight from the off will say, I do not wish that man any harm, and I hope he gets a speedy recovery. But why have they announced it? The Windsor family are not known for doing this. And this is cynical. It's a cynical use of someone's condition to get the plebs, and you're quite right with your terminology, Russ, to get the plebs back on side.
Yeah, it's a PR thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for his family, but he's a man in his 70s who sounds like prostate cancer. I know they didn't come out and say that, but he went for a prostate exam and they found cancer, so I'm guessing it's prostate cancer, which is to be kind of expected at that age. What I would point out is that there was no 12-week waiting list for Charlie, was there?
No.
There was no, he was straight in and being dealt with, and it's that having that access that the rest of us don't actually have.
Yeah.
We don't get it. And it was just after they announced kind of Kate had gone in for some minor thing as well.
Yeah.
They've never done it. In fact, this is the royal family that used to hide their shameful offspring away in the tower, isn't it?
Yes, wasn't it one of the offsprings had epilepsy or something?
Yeah.
Just at the
The,
start of the
the
1900s.
Queen's cousin or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
The old Queen's cousin.
Yeah.
Not the current Queen, who's not the Queen. It just doesn't sound right to me. I'm not particularly royalist, but when they say the King and Queen, it's just weird. My brain doesn't compute. Because I remember when they got together and they were like, "Oh, she'll never be Queen. We've decided she'll be the King consort." And it's like, yeah, you've all got shoddy memories, mate.
Yeah. Well, that's
you don't
the
give a
same
shit.
They
don't give a shit about Diana, do they?
Yeah, it's the same as Charlie Boy when he was Prince of Wales. Right, when I become king, there's going to be reforms, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and he's withdrawn from every single idea he's ever had about reform. You know, and he's sitting there giving it, aye. You just want your shot of the power.
Definitely, mate.
Just
Definitely.
Beggar's belief, old chap. Right. Yes. So where were we? So the Royal Health scandal, yet another cynical attempt by UK PLC to get the plebs back on side.
Mate, the fawning sycophancy on social media about that as well has been sickening to behold. So it has. You know, I mean, the same thing happened. I mean, I had nothing against Diana, but after she died, the wall-to-wall wailing and gnashing of teeth. You're like, you've never met this person. I'm sorry for the family, but why do people let it affect them so deeply, so emotionally?
Someone sticks a camera in front of them.
Yeah. Who was it? It was the GB newsprint, wasn't it, that had a couple of takes of laying a wreath, wasn't it, after the Queen died? You remember that?
Right, where are we? Right. We've got Unionist of the month or week to present Russ.
Who's the Union of the week this week, mate? We did talk about this, but I've got a memory like a Rodney whose rounds come up.
Okay then. What we'd like to do is award the Unionist of the.
I remember now. Go on.
Well done, Russ. And the award goes to Donald Cameron. Now, Donald Cameron, and I've had to look this up. I'd never heard of him before, nor than Russ.
So what jobs have you been given, Cliff? What jobs are you doing now?
He has now been promoted to the House of Lords, and he is to take up a position in the Scotland office as a Parliamentary Under Secretary of State.
For Scotland?
For Scotland, yes.
Yeah.
Now, this guy was born in London, educated at Harrow, educated in Oxford, went on then to get a further degree or diploma or something like that at the City of London University.
Go on.
Yeah, his family history is littered with titles, right? And he is exactly the type of person you'd want in the Scotland office if you have no intention at all of talking to the Scots.
Yeah, and for those of you that might think that he's just appeared out of nowhere, you've not heard him, I say shame on you, because apparently, and I had to look this up as well, he's been a list MSP for the Highlands and Islands for the last 8 years.
Yes.
He's been in Hollywood for 8 years. I'd never heard his name before yesterday, which is why, thanks to his birth and his party loyalty, he is this week. He's our Yoon of the week. I'm loving that graphic, mate. I think we should use it more often. But yeah, it's ridiculous. There is that absolutely. So yeah, but I mean, how long is he going to be in there? Because we said this quickly, and I'm aware we're running out of time. But there's supposed to be a general election this year, so need to wait and see what happens.
He'll still be in the House of Lords. He'll just not be part of the
Oh
government.
yeah, of course he will. Yeah, yeah. But he won't be parliamentary
part of the
Undersecretary of
government.
State. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it might be. I mean, Labour could turn around and say, "Yeah, we want him in," because he's unelected. So I think there is a precedent for that. Anyway, Russ.
It is. It's that time again. Sorry we didn't get to those last few questions at the end, but we are out of time for this week. I want to thank everyone for joining us. I want to thank the good folk at Independence Live for giving us this space and this opportunity to do this. We've got a special shout out to Kevin. All the best, mate. You know where we are if you need anything. And thank you, folks. We'll see you all again at the same time next month.
Yeah, cheers, folks, and catch up with you next month. Remember, our future is bright. Independence is right.
Sarah Alba. Take care, folks. Bye for now.